Stella's Meza, and today I will teach you how to make a dish called Mchuzi wa nyama. It is basically a curried beef dish that is made in Kenya and basically along the East African coast. Now, in this pan on medium heat, I have one medium-sized onion, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and then I had 2 cloves of garlic that I minced, or you can buy it from the store in the where they put the produce for it's already minced for you. I use this for the sake of time sometimes. And then I also have here ginger paste. You can find this at the grocery store in the international section, or you can actually peel your own ginger and then use a mortar and pestle to make some ginger paste. And then I have put that in here together, okay, and I waited until the onions have started turning golden or light brown, and then I added the ginger paste, and I added the garlic, minced garlic. Okay, now you will need a teaspoon of curry powder. You will need actually that's a teaspoon of turmeric. Okay, a teaspoon of curry powder. For a little bit of kick, I like to add red pepper or cayenne pepper. So that is half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I don't like it too hot, but based on how hot you like your food, you can increase the amount. Okay. And then I have here coriander powder, and this is what coriander looks like before it is ground. I normally buy mine whole, and then I roast it in a pan on low heat, and then I use a coffee grinder that also doubles up as a spice grinder and grind it and make my own fresh as I need it. Okay, and then over here you have salt to taste. Okay, some people like it salty, some don't. And then I also use half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I like the flavor of it. Okay, now here for the color and the flavor, I have half a red bell pepper and half a green bell pepper. And I also have 2 medium-sized carrots that I washed, I peeled, and I diced. And I have 1 1/4 pound ground beef. Now, not ground beef, cube beef. Okay, so I'm gonna, and I have a third of a cup of peas, frozen peas, and I have here cornstarch. Now I'm gonna use this later on after I fry everything, put everything together. If I want it thicker, I like my sauce thicker. I'm going to add a little bit of this to some water, and then I'm going to pour it in to give it a little bit of body, okay? So I'm going to increase the heat here to medium. I had it on low, that way nothing burns. And remember, I use 2 tablespoons of oil in here. If you look, I'm using a wok. This kind of pan is called a wok because I find it you use less oil when you cook in it. And if you look and you see that there's not enough oil in there, indeed it's looking dry, just add a little bit more, just a couple drops more of oil. Now this looks ready for the next step, and it's already smelling amazing. So what I like to start with is turmeric powder, okay? Because this has kind of a strong taste, and it's an acquired taste. For a lot of people, find it too strong. So I put this in the beginning stages, that way the taste of it cooks down a little. So we're going to add that into the pot. And I know some people might be thinking, oh, sacrilege, there's no tomatoes in this recipe. When I make beef stew, sometimes I will make it with tomatoes, but a lot of times I prefer to make it this way, okay? Because tomatoes have that tart, the acidity in there, and I prefer it this way. I don't like that in there too much, okay? All right, let's turn that up a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to add the curry powder in the mix. You add and you stir. Another ingredient that I neglected to mention that I have here is cilantro. Okay, just like a quarter of a bunch of cilantro, and I cut up real fine. You can hear it sizzling way in there. Okay, I'm going to add the cinnamon into the mix. Now there's as many ways to cook this dish as they are the cooks that make it. So I'm sure every Kenyan or every East African home has a way that they like to do it. Now this is my way that I'm sharing with you. Okay, I'm going to add the coriander powder next. Give it a stir. And this dish can be eaten with lots of things. You can eat it with rice. You can eat it with chapati, and I'll post a video of how to make that later. And you can eat it. I remember when I was little, sometimes we'd make like Mchuzi sandwiches. Okay, we'd put the finished beef stew in between 2 slices of bread, and that was delicious. A filling snack. All right, I'm going to add the cayenne. Stir. Right now, canned food has a lot of Indian influences because of the interaction that Kenya has had with India through the years. Okay, trade, spice trade, and just basically along the East African coast. So you'll find some of the foods that we eat are heavily influenced by Indian food. Okay, so if you see something that I make that I call Cayenne, most likely has influences from another part of the world. Persians have been to East African coast. The Arabs have been to East African coast, so a lot of times you'll see foods that are familiar. Now I just threw in there the bell peppers. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of oil in here, okay? A little bit of oil, a couple drops of oil. This is, again, vegetable oil. Stir. Now you want to hear that sizzle. That's a beautiful sound. Let them simmer together. And at this point you can add the beef. Now, because the beef has that moisture in it, as it cooks, that moisture is going to incorporate into this mix, okay? And it's going to create broth that's coming from the beef itself. Just stir it around. Make sure the pieces are coated. And then once the beef has started turning brown, I'm going to add a little bit of water, like half a cup or even less, depending on how thick you like your stew. And then I'm going to check it out, see what the consistency looks like. And then I'm going to add the peas, because these are frozen peas. You can get the shell, you can shell them yourself if you like, but for the sake of time, I got the frozen ones. I'm going to throw them towards the end because they cook quick. I don't want them to break in there, okay? So we will be right back, and I will show you what the finished product looks like. So come right back. Now, right before the break, we were making some Mchuzi, which is an East African dish, beef stew, beef curried stew. And I went ahead and finished cooking it on the stove, and I let it simmer on there. Before the break, I was just mixing all the ingredients, and I let it simmer with a half a cup of water for 20 minutes on medium-high. And I want to show you the end result. So if you look into the bowl, I'm going ahead and serve it up in the dish. You can see some sauce here, and I mentioned I like my sauce thick. This is the consistency you're looking for. That or thicker, okay? And you can see in there the carrots, the peas, the green peppers, the red peppers, and a little bit of the onions. And I am going to take a spoonful, trying to make sure I have a bite of everything, and then it's still piping hot, just fresh off the stove. Okay? And here we go. That is really good. It's like layers of flavor from all the spices we use in there, and it smells incredible. Now you know that it's done when your vegetables, your carrots especially, because those are the hardest of all the ingredients we put in there. Once they're nice and they're let, when you bite in them, it's not like crunchy. Now you know it's that. And that right there, my friends, that is done. That is good. So I'm going to make some chapatis to go with that. I'll share the recipe with you in the next video, okay? So join us again. And thank you for joining me. And love and good eats from my meza to yours.